Hey guys, it's Jesse from Central Athlete. Here are the 5 reasons to reconsider personal training. And a lot of this is based upon my own individual biases and my experience for the last 10 years in the fitness industry. So my story as a fitness professional started off in group class training as well as in a country club fitness setting. And what I experienced was my first iteration was being a group class instructor. So I would have, a 6 a.m. class, a 7 a.m. class, an 8 a.m. class, and then I would try to train and eat in the middle of the day, and then I would have my 5, my 6, and my 7 o'clock class in the evenings. And what I experienced was that I loved the group class environment. It was this great vibe for teaching people new skills, and movements is very energizing, and it gave people something that they really were lacking, which was camaraderie and social connection. But the trouble with myself was that it was a great thing for the clients from a social support standpoint, but it got really, really hard to sustain that lifestyle where I was doing this 5-6 days per week and only worked maybe 5-6 hours per day, but I had 3 hours in the morning, 2 to 3 hours in the evening, so it made for these almost 12 hours days, and it just became this grind. And so what happened is, about a year in, somebody asked if I did personal training, and I really didn't know what I was doing at that point. I was kind of a greenhorn, and I said, sure, yeah, I can help you work on some very specific things. And this client got really great results. And what I figured out was that I, as a coach, had more fulfillment because now I had more time. I was able to charge 3 times as much as I was making with the group classes in the personal training sessions than I was with group class training. So although I enjoyed doing group class training more, personal training was more rewarding from a financial standpoint, but I was still stuck in this model of trading dollars for hours. Now, one of the biggest things I want to preface with this video is that personal training makes a lot of sense for a good amount of people, but it needs to be very, very particular. This could be maybe somebody who hasn't worked out for a long period of time and they need a very, very high touch environment. Maybe this person hasn't developed personal responsibility, so they need somebody physically showing up to motivate them to come. But what I want to talk about is what's the long-term journey. So if you have somebody who's constantly showing up in your garage and you still lack the motivation to be a self-starter and training on your own, then there's an inherent problem there. So what I personally do now is something that's more fulfilling to me, and it's a win for the 3 stakeholders. It's a win for the business owner, it's a win for the coach, and it is a huge win for the client in terms of the results that they see. So the 5 reasons to reconsider personal training is, the first one is, for the most part, there's no back-end support in a systemized operational format. And what I mean by that is, how are you discussing nutrition? How are you discussing lifestyle management? How are you integrating these things into the bigger part of the picture? Because what personal training is you book an hour and you pay for an hour, and that's typically what you do. And what I found is that training is just a tip of the iceberg, right? So you're just doing reps and sets and exercises and conditioning and all that stuff. But honestly, a lot of times people have a hard time putting the intensity or volume that's necessary to properly execute the training because they're super stressed out, or maybe they're so stressed out that they couldn't sleep last night, or maybe their nutrition is all over the place, and so even though they're consistent with training, they still fail to see the results from a body composition perspective that they're looking for. So that's the first thing, is no back-end support. The second thing is, we charge $115 per session for personal training, which is what our time is worth. But for somebody who is a motivated individual and wants to train 4 days per week, that's a little bit over $1,800 for the month. So it's prohibitively expensive, and there are a lot more economical options to see the results you're looking for. So paying $1,800 per month, I mean, this is really only applicable to like the top 1 or 2% of the income bracket. So it's just not a realistic model for a lot of people who are just like you and me and want to work out for long periods of time, but maybe can't afford several $1,000s of training. The third thing is the long-term journey. So we want to teach our clients how to fish. I don't want to show up and show them how to fish every single day. And what I mean by that is, I want to teach you how to develop the motivation to train on your own, and that comes from your set of values and the paradigm that you have created as you look at health and fitness. I want to teach people proper form. I want to teach people how to properly execute aerobic training. But I don't want to show up every single day and count reps and just tell them what to do. And so that's a problem for the client, and it's a problem for the coach. It lacks sustainability on both sides of the equation. The fourth thing is, what do you do when you're out of town? So say, hypothetically, this person can afford $1,800 per month. They probably can also afford a spring break vacation, a summer vacation, and a winter vacation. But personal training only delivers services when you're personally available. So what do you do when you're out of touch for, maybe 2 weeks, multiple times per year? There's no support, both from a training perspective, both from a back-end support perspective. And then, lastly, those first four changes had, aspects had to do with the client. The fifth change is the sustainability for the coach, and they trade dollars for hours. And in order to make more money, if they want to scale, they're going to have to work more hours. And so eventually what happens with personal training is you have two paths. You can either work more or you can raise your rates. And when you're realizing that you're kind of capped out, this creates, it just doesn't work for a lot of people. What do you want to do when you want to go on vacation? Well, you're not making any money, you're only spending money. What do you want to do when you want to have a family? What do you want to do when you want to get a house and a mortgage? All of the realistic aspects of life are hard to fit into the picture with personal training. So, really one thing I want everybody to look at is, how is this a win for the client? How is this a win for the coach? And how is this a win for the business owner? And if you look at that complete picture, you're going to find something that really is aligned towards long-term progress. I hope you found this information useful, and stay shredded, my friends.